founding president and writer of Itergy.
That's right. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks to everyone that's here. We'll try to make really good use of the 20 minutes or so that we have. Originally, the marketing had created a title, but I actually thought this was a title that I would have put to this talk if I could have, providing the right access to the right people at the right time. And you can actually reverse that to the similar extent, removing the permissions from the wrong people at the right time. Both are really, really important. And both of them fit into that overall scope of joiners, movers, leavers, JML, onboarding, offboarding in North American terms, or the user lifecycle experience in a company, which are really good words, but our personal experience is that there's a lot of challenges in the execution. My goal today actually is to kind of take a bit of a theoretical example of a situation situations that I'm sure you're familiar with, but they're actually based on very real experiences that we have with customers, and I'm actually thinking of one customer in particular, and the challenge we have in our industry is that we can rarely use our customers' names because we're dealing with security, we're dealing with privacy, I'm sorry, and so we have those business challenges. So anyway, so that's where we're going to go with this. We're going to talk about a situation of someone joining a company, moving around inside the company, and leaving the company. What are some of the impacts? What can be done about it when we get to the end? Just to pay some respect to my roots, he says, I know with Cole, I didn't need to battle my way to work through the snow. I could have worked from home, but I left all my login details at my desk drawer. So there's a 6-foot snowbank in front of my house when I left home. So it could have been a real situation for me. But anyway, let me tell you a story about 2 employees. We're going to call them Jack and Jill. That's nondescript enough, isn't it? And I don't have my bucket with me. I actually thought I had a bucket, but I had a bucket. But anyway, Jack's going to go to work. And when Jack goes to work, he's got a bucket of tools that he's going to get when he goes to work. Common tools that we throw into the bucket include the laptop, which we've had around for a long, long time. It's usually going to include their smartphone nowadays. That's going to go into his bucket that he'll need to do his job. It's a good chance it's going to include his iPad or another tablet. And they say that the average user today has more than 3 different devices that they'll use for work. In fact, a worker nowadays will expect, as you're quite aware, that when they go home and they've forgotten their laptop at work, that they should be able to log into a computer at home of any sort and be able to access their work and do their work as well. And we kind of expect that out of them. So there's a lot of challenges that Jack has when he goes to work. But anyways, Jack is starting. Before Jill, we're going to tell the story of Jack. So Jack is super excited. He's got a new job. He shows up on day 1. And day 1 is always a hard day. And all your company, I don't care how good your system is, day 1's a hard day. You've got the training, there's HR stuff, you've got IT showing up with a laptop. Is the laptop ever working right the first day? There's challenges with the profile, there's challenges with the applications. The application was installed, but the access isn't there. Let's take that laptop, let's go back, and let's get it fixed and bring it back again. And it takes several days to onboard the most users in most companies today until they get to the place where they can start being functional. Those first few days are not a whole lot of fun. And anyway, we get through the first few days, you're getting reasonably logged on and working in online rather. So Jack, he goes through that first week, and things are settling down. He runs into a problem a week later. He's supposed to be using one particular application. He can't access that application. And once again, it takes several days for him to get access to it. And these kind of things keep happening to him over the course of a period of time. How long is the average period of time until an employee is fully onboarded with all of the IT accesses that they should have? Any suggestions? How long does it take in your company? 1 day? 3, 4 days or weeks? Weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. It's not an uncommon experience to have 3 to 4 weeks. We have a company in Canada, you know here, is the Bombardier. I remember one VP said it took him 6 months to get his smartphone properly configured so that he could use it for his work. And I was going, oh, that's crazy, 6 months. But it's a reality. There's a whole supply chain of problems that can exist in onboarding a new employee. It's not always about IT department. It can be due to all kinds of things. Anyway, Jack, he's going to work. Really excited in the beginning. However, he gets along to his 6 weeks and he's starting to get discouraged. He's finally integrated, but there's a problem. And in fact, this is a common experience. Dilbert, you're familiar with Dilbert, aren't you? Yeah. So Dilbert, this will be your cubicle. In 6 weeks, our IT people will connect you to the network so you can do your job. But I'll stop by every few minutes to see what you're doing. We have expectations of our employees in those 6 weeks. In fact, I'll come through a couple of statistics in a few minutes. We've typically already judged our employees during that period of time, and we made a permanent judgment on their performance in a period of time when they don't really have all the accesses they need to properly do their jobs. So anyway, so Jack, he's starting to tip there. He's having some challenges in his job. In fact, here's that survey I was talking about. A survey of 319 employees at companies with a revenue of $1 billion or more has found that 27% think that employers form an initial opinion as to whether an entry-level employee will be successful or not in less than 2 weeks. So in those first 2 weeks, 27% have already judged the employee, and 78% think that employers make this determination in less than 3 months. So you get this desynchronization going on. Challenges of onboarding the employee, getting him fully ramped up, and in that time we've already judged their performance. And today almost every worker is an information worker. And so we get this desynchronization going on. But anyway, finally he has everything that he needs for doing his job. He's got all of his devices, they're all connected, and he can do his work from home, he can do his work from work, he can do the job that he was hired to do. So what could happen now? Well, Jack gets moved to a new department. So Jack gets moved to a new department. What do we have to do? In fact, several of you came and talked to me about this challenge today already at our booth. Jack moves to a new department. He needs new accesses. If you're a well-designed company, you have different profiles users for different departments. So the accesses I have in this job, let's say in IT, I move over to procurement, there's a whole set of new accesses to be given. Rarely does an employee just transition from one to the other just like that. Almost always they're carrying permissions forward. Why? Well, because you have to finish one job, and after finishing that job at the same time you start a new one. And so we grant new permissions, we don't take away old permissions. And by the time we get to 3 months down the road and the transition has taken place, it's already forgotten. It was why? Well, it was a manual process. And a manual process is bound to have challenges, and so you get this kind of thing going on. So Jack, he's happy though. He can do his work on his new department. And he's very valuable inside the company now because from time to time he can solve problems in his old department. In fact, his new department often asks him to do things. And he kind of greases his kids, is the way we'd say back home. And just makes things work because he starts to have accesses all over the company as he moves from role to role. And he's just one of those guys that gets things done inside the company. So then one day, Jack resigns. So Jack resigns, he leaves the company, and he takes his iPad with him, he takes his phone with him, he leaves his laptop. He finds it surprising when he gets home that he actually still has access to his email on his phone, and it's still working. And by the way, that can happen even if you disable the accounts in your Active Directory. They can still continue to access Office 365 for a period of time. You do have to watch out for that. But anyway, he can continue to access this information. 6 months later, during an audit, okay, and we all get some of those audits that come along, and there's an audit, they discover that Jack's accounts had never been disabled. He still had access to those Office 365 accounts and different accesses, SaaS applications online. And of course, the IT technician, what did he do? He shrugged his shoulders. Nothing much new here. HR must have fallen down the job. And that is sort of the problem. We could compare that experience. In fact, we were working with a company in London last year. And their experience was that it was taking 6 weeks to onboard a new employee, to get them fully onboarded. And we took them through a process. We didn't do all the supply chain. They had to do a whole supply chain programming and everything as well to make sure that they're ready with the right devices at the right time. But we were able to work with them on the identity side so that when they come on to day one, you actually have the person starting a job with the right profile, with the right permissions that they'll need, rather than have to wait 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 6 weeks, depending what your own standards are. Jill landed in a company like that, similar company, totally different experience. So Jill was just as excited about her new job. But if you show up on your new job and you actually get what you thought was promised to you, it makes a world of a difference. And so she gets her setup of tools and everything else. It still takes a few days. It's always a rough ride in a new company. But imagine the difference that at the end of this first week, once her onboarding training has been done, and she's integrated into the company, and she's got all of her accesses, she doesn't have that experience. So as Jill progresses, she also changes jobs a number of times. She continues to be able to do her job well. And one day when she also resigns, it's very interesting that in the office, while she's resigning, by the time she walks out of the office, not only can she not use her email application on her phone, but the information was deleted even as she sat in the office. Her iPad, it's gone. The machine at home, it's gone. Everything is synchronized, everything's taken care of with a push of a button, and IT did not know that she was going to be resigning. And that's the difference. IT did not know that she would be gone. How can we get to that state? So, we'll tell some stories. That's on slide one. Oh, I'm missing slide one. Okay. So, we have two different kinds of situations. So we have a situation, so I'm going to do a visual diagram for you. We've got two shared services inside of every company. One of them is HR, and another one is IT. Typically, they surface do very similar functions inside the company. The interesting thing is how little coordination there is in so many companies today between HR and IT. And we're really joined at the hip. Now we could use the same example with other systems that exist. What I find interesting is that HR, by and large, in most companies today, are phenomenally well organized with their own IT systems. When an employee comes in, they know who they're working for, they know the profile of the employee, and they know a lot of things that this employee should have. They've got really good information. The IT doesn't know about it, of course, until HR informs them. And the most common way that I find today that is done is that a ticket is opened by HR. The ticket goes over into the ITSM tool that shows up. IT sees a ticket in the queue. The ticket tells them what to do. Someone actually opens a ticket, and manually they will make sure that the employee gets the user account with the right accesses, etc., that they need to do their work. When that is completed, the ticket is closed and is sent back to HR, and HR can say, okay, the job is done. Okay, it's a manual process. So what we did for this company in London, just one example, was exactly that process. It was nothing more complicated than joining the HR system together with the Active Directory system. You know about this, but so few companies have done it, it astounds me. So that when HR, if it's properly configured with the right policies, when they have an employee that leaves, that can actually disable everything that's needed, not only in the Active Directory, but you can actually do it in the ERP system, your SAP, what other kind of systems you're using in your company, your PSA tools, etc., etc. It can actually do all those at once. That's the image of what's going on. The company that we worked with, they went from 6 weeks to 1 day. They had situations when they connected the HR system to their Active Directory. They had corporate vice presidents that had been working with the teams of people reporting through in their structures that weren't even in the right department, had never had permission to do their job, had been going around for years asking other people to do things for them, people being frustrated with them, and the only reason was they didn't actually have the accesses they should have had, and they didn't actually understand anything about the tools underneath it to be able to correct the problem with the IT department in the first place. IT can't know unless they're told. HR can't know unless that's discovered, and the corporate vice, so they actually discovered that vice presidents working for corporate vice presidents and had never yet been structured inside their tools to actually do the work that they've been assigned to do. We solved that problem. It was embarrassing, but not as embarrassing as having an ongoing problem. So anyway, that's a situation, we've got lots of stories. The best stories I've heard actually have come from this room today, or some of the best stories have come from this room here today. things that you've experienced. So thank you for your time. I think that my time is pretty much up. And thank you, and we're with Itergy. Love to have you come by and chat with us if you have not already. We've got 3 different people here in the room. We've got Tim, we've got Floyd somewhere here, and then as well we're down the booth and we've got Mark Cox, one of our technical people with us too. Thank you.